So, welcome to the NerdVision webinar. I'm David Thacker. I'll be your host today. And today we've got two guests with us. So, we've got Ben Donnelly from NerdVision and Carl Clash from Datadog.
For a few years now. And Carl?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. My name is Carl. I've been at Datadog for about a year and a half as an associate product manager.
Okay. So today we just want to cover a couple of topics showing how NerdVision can help you speed up your mean time to know, and how combining NerdVision and Datadog can help close the gap between production and your debug environments. First, give a quick introduction to Datadog and the Datadog marketplace, and then we'll give a short overview of what NerdVision is. Then we want to cover a typical debugging process on how NerdVision can accelerate your mean time to know, and how we can accelerate your debugging process in general. And we'll jump into a live demo where we'll showcase the techniques using NerdVision and how we integrate in Datadog. And then we should have some time at the end for some Q&A. So with that, I'll hand over to Carl.
Yep. Thanks, Ben. So at a high level, Datadog is a monitoring and security platform for cloud applications. So what we do is that we bring in together end-to-end application traces, metrics, and logs to make our customers' applications, infrastructure, and really any third-party services entirely observable. And doing that is going to help businesses secure their system, avoid downtime and avoid incidents, and really ultimately ensure that customers are getting the best user experience possible. Now, we launched the Datadog Marketplace at our, Ben, you might want to go back a slide just one sec. Yeah, sorry. So we launched the Datadog Marketplace at our annual Dash conference in August of 2020, just last year. And the main purpose of the marketplace was to continue to grow the Datadog ecosystem. And that way we can extend the Datadog platform to monitor new technologies and new data sources. Now, the NerdVision integration is actually a great example of the better together opportunities we see with our technology partnerships. And the marketplace is a platform to deliver these solutions to our mutual customers. Now, we understand that our customers use a variety of tools, so that way they can benefit from our ecosystem of partner and their expertise in a number of different areas. Now, if I want to summarize the goals of Datadog in the marketplace, it would be to continue expanding our coverage of the entire technology stack. And we do that while simplifying the way our customers are able to correlate and analyze their data in order to improve their services and their applications. Now, the goals behind the Datadog Marketplace are really based on several trends that we see in the monitoring and observability space. So we've seen customers scale the number of computing units they utilize. We've seen them diversify the technologies they use. We've seen them increase the frequency of releases and increase the number of people that are involved in the process. And they've been doing that by employing DevOps tools and DevOps practices. And the feedback we received is that customers desire to access all the data in a single place through a single pane of glass. Now, the great thing about the Datadog Marketplace is that it can be entirely self-serve. So our users are able to discover and explore a wide range of offerings right through the marketplace inside the Datadog platform. And that includes integrations, software, and services, really whatever best meets their use case. For example, if a customer is looking for the NerdVision integration, as you can see on the slide here, they can just visit the Datadog Marketplace and click into the NerdVision tile listing. So our goal with the marketplace is to make the experience as simple and as transparent as possible. And that way customers can kick off a 14-day free trial with Datadog, install any integration, and then immediately benefit from out-of-the-box assets like custom dashboards, monitors, and visualization tools, really just to name a few. Now, Ben will be showing exactly what this looks like with the NerdVision integration in just a minute. But if customers have any questions, really our sales team and our customer success teams are definitely always happy to help. And additionally, NerdVision definitely provides full support for their marketplace offering. So that's a little bit about the basics of how Datadog Marketplace works. But I know it'd be valuable here to get into more specifics on how NerdVision works. So I'll pass it over to Ben, who will start with an overview of the product. Ben.
So, thanks, Carl. What is NerdVision? So NerdVision is a new tool that allows you to dynamically inject logs and collect data from your application. So you may have heard of terms such as dynamic logging or live debugging. So we can inject logs into your application to collect that information that you need, which I'll go into some more detail later. So we can automate the debugging process as well, which is something new, which we'll also cover. We also here support Java, Node, Python, and .NET, working in any environment that you can run those applications in. So where do we sit in your stack? So within the process of debugging, there's 4 main phases. We have the time to identify, the time to know, the time to fix, and the time to verify. With Datadog, you have that tool to identify your issues. It can report to you very quickly where these issues occur. The final 2 stages, with your mean time to fix and your mean time to verify, these can come from tools such as Datadog, as well as existing CI/CD tools, to verify that your deploy has gone through after you've resolved the problem. David, are you seeing there's an error reported with the webinar? I believe you're also muted, David.
It's running fine for me. Also on my other device, it's continuing.
Okay. So anyway, so I'll continue. Maybe you can help Daphne to solve that. Where NerdVision really sits is in the mean time to know. And this is where you're trying to answer the questions such as, what does the data look like? Where is it coming from? And how does the data change as it's going through your services? And this is where you generally have to start adding more code to debug your applications, add more log messages. And this is where NerdVision can really help you. So what does the traditional or the typical debugging process look like? Here we have where you're injecting, you're having to instrument your code with logs, as I said, or additional debug code in order to gather that information that you need. Once you've done this, you have to then you have to create a pull request. You have to then go through the build, test, approval, and deployment pipelines. And these can, obviously, they can be automated, but they can still take several days. They can still take several minutes, and sometimes up to days or hours. So, and this can even then get even worse, as Carl was saying, with the people expanding the teams, expanding the services that they use, having distributed services, multiple different teams involved, which then can push that process across multiple teams within your organization and make these changes take potentially up to days to fix. So with NerdVision, we can reduce all this. There's no longer a need to restart your application. You can just inject those logs. You can gather that information directly where you need to. There's no need to have that pull request submitted, and you don't need to wait for other teams to get involved or wait for any deployment windows. You can conceivably reduce the time that you need to get the information from minutes, from weeks all the way down to minutes, conceivably saving 80% of the time. So with that in mind, specifically with Datadog, the way NerdVision integrates is we're on the marketplace, which allows us to put that data back into Datadog. We are also, with the autonomous debugging, capturing the errors from the traces. So when a trace is reported from Datadog, NerdVision captures that information as well. And then we'll inject a trace or a debug statement into that code so that we're able to gather the additional data when that next runs. And then we can put that data back into Datadog. So then you get that single pane of glass view as well. So then with that, I shall jump into a demo and go over the features in more detail. Just need to find the right screen. So hopefully you should be seeing the NerdVision user interface now.
Yeah, perfectly, Ben.
Good. Awesome. So first, I would like to cover some of the basic concepts of NerdVision, the dynamic logging and the extraction of that data. So in this example, we have an application which is written in Python, which is sending a metric to Datadog, which is this metric here. And we're seeing in Datadog that the metric is randomly very large, and we're trying to explore why this value is particularly large. So what we want to do is we want to first make sure that we're only affecting this particular application. And we can do that by setting up a workspace. So in the top right here, we can see the list of applications that we have connected. In this case, the one that we're looking for is this Datadog metric application. So we can quickly just filter to that application and then save a new workspace. And then open that workspace, and we can see that we are now targeting just that one application out of the 3 that are connected. So now we can be sure that we're only going to be installing these trace points into that application. So first thing is we can start off with just gathering some basic understanding of what this data looks like. So to do that, we have the default setup as a single frame, which fires a single time. So we can enable that. As this application is running, we'll see that this will very quickly appear on the right here, as soon as that statement is executed by the application. And here we can see the full frames of how that code is being executed, as well as the variables at that particular place in the code. And we can see that we have the container ID and the message that is being sent to Datadog as a metric. So now we want to explore that data a little bit more and gather a larger set so that we can understand what the data looks like. So we can do that by creating a log message. So to do that, we can, in this case, we're going to set it to no frame. And that just means that it's only going to collect the watch statements or the log messages that we specifically tell it to. So in this case, we're just going to say message, and then we're going to change the fire count to forever, and then we're going to enable that. And we'll see that the log message has appeared in here, and we can start seeing these log messages or these events appearing very quickly. If we go to the log view, we can then view that as a log. Now, all of this data is also now being pushed into Datadog, which I can show you in a moment. So from this, we can see that the log message being pushed is generally okay. It's within the range that we're expecting, and it's not giving us the very large value that we were seeing from Datadog. So what we want to do now is we want to add a condition to say, well, we can focus when this trace point is triggered to just when the error case is being handled. So we can edit this trace point here, and we can just go into the condition, and we can just say in here, if the length of the message is greater than, say, 10,000. And then we can save that. And then we'll see that immediately the trace points have stopped firing. I can just mark those all as seen so that we know which ones we have and have not seen. And we can see this is no longer coming in. And now, as soon as that condition is evaluated to true, we will then receive that information into NerdVision and into Datadog. Now, if we want to also receive that via a different alert platform, or if we want to notify an engineer, we can also configure this into a pipeline. So these pipelines allow us to notify specific users or specific endpoints, such as Slack or Discord or whatever it is that you're using for the alerting. So in this case, we'll just set up an email to David. So we can save that. And what this will do now is, as soon as that condition is set true, that trace point will trigger, and then that information will be forwarded off to David so that he can action that and look at what's causing this problem. So that's a quick rundown of the primary features of NerdVision. So I'll just go ahead and delete that, and then clean up my workspace by just deleting that so that it removes any trace points that were remaining on that application. Within the Datadog side, so once you've installed from the integrations in the marketplace, the NerdVision marketplace offering, you'll be given this dashboard. And this dashboard will collate all the information that's specifically coming from the NerdVision environment. So in this case, we can see the log messages and the events that are being triggered, as well as a quick breakdown of where these are coming from within our applications. This allows you to quickly see what's going on and what information is coming from Datadog, from NerdVision, into Datadog. And that's the core idea of the integration there with the the single pane of glass view from NerdVision. Sorry, from Datadog with NerdVision. The next area is with the autonomous debugging, and this is where we start getting into the ability to automatically detect these problems using Datadog and instrumenting your code automatically with NerdVision. So here we have the trace view within Datadog. And this is running a Django application, again in Python. And what we have here is a request that's gone off to this application, and it's caused a key error in Python. This is being captured by Datadog and being reported in Datadog. And you can see here the key error. You can see the logs connected from the trace. But what's missing is you can't see what the key error is coming from. So what value are you looking up? What is the value you're looking up in the object? Yeah. So in order to do that, you're going to have to start adding those log statements and adding those processes in order to extract that information to find out what it is that you're doing with the name. So you can collect this some of this information from your code, so you'll be able to see where things are going. With NerdVision, what we're able to do is we're capturing this error. We're then automatically adding that instrumentation and then exporting that back into Datadog. So here you can see explicitly that we've added this log message dynamically via NerdVision, which is adding into the logs into Datadog, as well as your application logs. The fact that we can't read the value key from the object loads, which has got this value, which is name spelled wrong. And this is showing you very quickly that where your problem is. There is no key name inside of that value, inside of that dictionary object. And this is automatically done via NerdVision, and then it allows you to quickly see what is going on within your application. You can then go further by exploring this information within NerdVision itself. So here we have the list of errors captured by NerdVision, and you can see that we have some key errors and some JSON decode errors that are being captured. And we can see then the whole list here of all the errors that are being captured by NerdVision. As you can see, it's it's the same error over and over again, where we have names misspelled. So we can very quickly see from this, and if we open this up, we can see the full JSON string that's being converted into the JSON object here. And we can see that this is not, it doesn't have the value name. We can then jump into the debugger. And we have the Django application here already. And we can see that this is the line of code that is being thrown from. And we can then continue the debugging process directly here by adding sorry, once I think the load has failed.
Yep. So just while we wait, if anyone's got any questions, just feel free to fire them into the chat, and we'll get to them at the end of the webinar.
Sorry, the automated load had failed on that application. So we can see that I've added this now again. The trace point immediately fires, and we can see here on the right-hand side, if I click it, the values coming in via the request, and we can see exactly what it is, where it's coming from, and we can start really debugging what's going on here. If we then have from Datadog, for example, a trace ID, and we want to explore what's going on that trace. If we have multiple snapshots going within NerdVision, we can actually just put into this view the trace ID from Datadog, and we can see here we have a single error. If we go to the events list, as in NerdVision, we try and separate the full events and the errors, so you can focus on where your problems lie. We can view the full set of traces or any snapshots that have occurred within the full context of that trace. So if you have a trace that's spanning multiple services, you can have snapshots in NerdVision across multiple services in multiple applications, and you'll see in NerdVision all of those traces. So if we have the trace name, we can see where they're all coming from. So we have, within this trace name, we have errors or snapshots being fired from various locations within JSON decoding and within the Django app as well. And that is, so if wrong, that brings us more or less to the end of the demo. So with that, I'll just finish closing the gap here. So with that, what we are able to do is we're able to dynamically inject log into your application so you can gather specific information that is missing from your logs. You can live debug your application wherever it may be running. You can also have the automatic debugging from NerdVision, so you can quickly jump into seeing exactly where the problems are, and you can collect that information. You can see that information without even having to work out where to install the trace points. NerdVision is doing that work for you. And you can also integrate this into your existing development cycles. We have plugins with IntelliJ IDE, so you can view this data directly within your debuggers, your developers' application environments, which makes it very quickly closing that gap between the production environments and your developers. And with that, I'll hand back to David.
Yep. Okay. So first question we've got, Ben, is NerdVision acts as a medium intermediate library that can help to push metrics logs into Datadog. The NerdVision gives extra features. How can we push this data into Datadog? So how can we push data into Datadog, Ben?
So with the NerdVision integration marketplace offering from Datadog, any event and log message generated by NerdVision is automatically ingested and provided to Datadog. So you'll see that in the Datadog dashboard provided by the marketplace integration.
Awesome. Okay, thanks, Ben. Okay, so we've got another one. How do I know my data is secure?
With data security, we have multiple levels of for PII redaction. So you can redact specific information that you want to be removed from the storage in NerdVision. We also have all the data connections are secure, so everything, all the communication is encrypted, all the data that we do store is encrypted, and we do also have an offering for a local deployment, so you can be sure that your data never leaves your environment.
Awesome. Okay, thanks, Ben. Okay, so another question we've got is, can you monitor application performance with NerdVision? So I think that's going to be a two-part answer.
Monitoring application performance is obviously a very important thing to do. While NerdVision can help you understand what your application is doing, it's not designed as a fully fledged APM tool. This is where Datadog can help, and I would ask Carl if he has any inputs to that.
Sure. Yeah. So at a high level, the Datadog APM product provides end-to-end distributed tracing all the way from front-end devices to databases with no sampling whatsoever. And so by seamlessly correlating distributed traces with front-end and back-end data, our APM suite lets you monitor service dependencies. It allows you to reduce latency and eliminate errors. And so that way, users can get the best possible experience from your applications.
Fantastic. Thanks, Carl. And another question we've got is, how could we get started with Datadog?
So we have a sign up link for that. You can start a 14-day trial. There's really no credit card required there. You can just get up and running by yourself, and then someone from our sales team will reach out to you for next steps. But I'm happy to drop the link in the chat now. And if the slide deck is shared with everyone, we'll make sure to drop a link in there as well.
Yep, fantastic. Thank you, Carl. Okay, so it looks like that's all our questions. So thank you everyone for attending.
Sorry, David, I do see one more question in the chat there about access to source code. So I would like to pick up on that because it's obviously a very important topic. NerdVision does not have access to your source code at all. You connect your browser to your provider. So in the example or in the demo I showed, we were using GitLab. So I connected my user, my browser that is showing NerdVision to my user in GitLab, and only I can access that code based using my GitLab user. So there's no access from the back end at all. It's all in the browser, and it's just so that you can show the data in the UI.
Brilliant. Carl, I think there's another one for you. So is Datadog similar to Sumo Logic, or it's like New Relic?
Yeah, it's similar to both, but the difference really here is that we provide all the tools, the monitoring tools and observability tools in one single platform. So it's really that integrated single pane of glass view that you get with Datadog that is really unique to us. And I'm also happy to share a few other differentiators offline. We don't have to go through them right now, but essentially, yes, it's comparable to Sumo Logic and New Relic.
Awesome.
Sumo Logic really focuses on security for the most part. New Relic is a APM and infrastructure tool. But yeah, we bring all this monitoring and observability tool in one platform with Datadog. So it's kind of a combination of both, if you may.
Okay, thanks, Carl. So any other questions? Ben, is there any that I've missed?
Don't think so.
Don't think, no. What pipelines are you planning? Okay, so what pipelines and integrations do we have?
So at the moment we have, I have to just load up the page, but we have integrations with Slack, Discord, Datadog, obviously, and a few other notification places. We also have an integration with Zapier, which allows you to then integrate with a large number of other services. We're always looking to add additional pipelines. So if there are any that you are missing or looking for, then please let us know. You can contact us on Discord. I believe that link will go out with the webinar as well. And then we can add whatever is required.
Super. Thanks, Ben. Okay. Is there anything else that we've missed? Just give it 30 seconds. Nope, doesn't look like it. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for attending, and thank you, Carl, for joining us. It's been great to have you.
Thank you for having me.